only prop you might like to have is a yoga block and a blanket. And we'll come to a lying down position when you're ready. Stretch out onto the floor, extend the legs, and enjoy a moment to just let go of any effort or tension in your body, relaxing down into the solid ground beneath you. We can come into relationship with our breathing and start to elongate the breath, longer, slower in-breaths, longer, slower out-breaths. And we can start to incorporate the principles of breathing in Pilates to maximize core engagement through the breath. We do that by focusing on expanding the lower ribs when we inhale. So maybe you get a sense of, as you inhale through your nose, the rib cage expanding out towards your arms. And then exhaling through pursed lips, like blowing on a pinwheel. So in through the nose, expand the side ribs. Exhale through pursed lips. Let's do 3 more generous breaths, just like that. Good. We're going to start the practice by warming up our low back and core. So we're going to hug the knees in towards the chest, and we'll rest our hands on our knees, and we're going to let the knees press forward so they point towards the ceiling, and we feel the low back stretch and elongate. And then we can just squeeze the knees right back in towards the chest. Let's do that a couple of times. If you want to keep going with your Pilates breathing, you can inhale, expand the side ribs as the knees push away. Maybe exhale through pursed lips as they hug back in. Let's do 2 more. And then we'll start to switch it up a little bit to engage the core more. So this time, when we inhale, we're going to stretch our heels up towards the ceiling. Stretch the legs up. And then you can point your toes, bend your knees, hug them back in towards your chest. So this is like the same movement we do when we're on a swing. When we inhale, we can stretch the heels and legs up. When we exhale, we'll point the toes, hug the knees in. And if you want a little more challenge, you could plant your palms on the floor beside you, just maybe like a foot out from each hip, so that you're using your core and leg strength to do the movement. And we'll do 2 more just like that. And then we're gonna lift the legs up one more time. Reach up through your heels. If you need more gentle practice, feel free to use your hands to support your thighs. If your palms are on the floor, you can press down against the floor through the palms and feel your muscles along your side ribs activate to help to support your movement. We're going to separate our feet out wide as you want to go. You can do a little or a lot depending on how much challenge you want. And then just as slow as you can go, you're going to draw your heels back together. And we'll do that a couple of times. As you're moving, see if you can pay attention to tucking your low belly in toward your spine. And if we wanted to incorporate our Pilates breathing, we could inhale into the side ribs as the feet separate. And exhale through pursed lips as the heels come together. And let's try for 3 more repetitions. You can always stop early if your body is sending you signals that you've already reached your limit. Staying attuned to that little tuck in the low belly as we move is going to help to make us a little more energy efficient, a little more stabilized. Last one. Ooh, good. Let's hug the knees in towards the chest, and we're going to roll the knees around in a couple of circles to massage out any tension that gathered in the low back or the hips. You can go around the other way a couple of times. All right, good. Let's move on to bridge pose. So we're going to let our feet come down to the mat about hip distance apart. If you've got a yoga block handy, you could put that yoga block right between the thighs and give it a squeeze. This is going to help to enhance the core engagement in the practice, but also your knees. So you're going to get a little bit more strengthening for knees and core if you're making use of the block. And again, we might just plant our palms 6 inches to a foot out from the hips so that as you push down through your palms, you can feel that engagement of the lats along the side ribs. We're going to squeeze the block and lift the hips up and try to touch our hip points to the ceiling. And then we'll come down vertebrae by vertebrae as if the spine were a string of pearls coming down bead by bead. We can feel how this actually engages a different set of muscles as we're coming down than the ones that we use when we're coming up. So once the tailbone lands, we're going to lift the hips back up, try to touch the hip points to the ceiling, squeeze the block, and then come down nice and slow and steady. We could use our Pilates breathing here if you want. On the inhale, when you lift up, expand your side ribs. Exhaling through pursed lips as you come down slow and steady. Let's try for 3 more repetitions. And when you finish that 3rd repetition, you can either rest and breathe, or you can squeeze the block, lift up into a final bridge pose, and then hold and breathe for about 3 to 5 breaths. Here it might feel good to actually tuck your shoulders under a little and reach your fingertips straight back towards your heels so that as you're strengthening, you can feel a nice stretch that goes all the way up into the neck. Good. If you're still in the pose, let's do a steady release back down. And we can also release the block if you're making use of a block. And let's do a little stretching here just to shake out anything that got sticky in the low back or hips. So we're going to wiggle our feet out until they're about shoulder or mat width apart. And we can also stretch the arms out to the sides or rest them behind you on the floor. We'll let the knees drop down to one side to take a gentle twist. And if you press down through the parts of the feet that are on the floor, you might get a deeper stretch there, especially down through the quad muscles that we were working so well in our bridge pose. And then let's take it over into that stretch on the other side for a few breaths. And then just a couple of fluid twists side to side like that, like your legs kind of become windshield wipers, flowing side to side. Good. All right. We're going to do one more strengthening practice here, lying on our back. So when the knees come back up to center, let's just go ahead and wiggle our feet back to hip width apart. Here's where you could make use of a blanket if you like. It's not required, but especially if you have osteoporosis, it's a good way to protect your tailbone. I find that it's just a little bit easier on my low back to slide the edge of a blanket under my sitting bones for this practice. And then let's stretch our legs back up towards the ceiling. And we're going to point our feet and we're going to rest our palms again on the floor. So the arms are kind of in a V shape. The palms are a little out from the hips. And when we push down through our hands, we can feel our lats engage along the side ribs. We're also going to pay good attention to our core. So if you tuck your belly in towards your back and a little up towards your sternum, you probably feel your pelvic floor tucking too. And that way we know the core is really well engaged. This practice is pretty challenging. We're going to start to lower the right leg down towards the floor. And again, you're lowering a little or a lot depending on the amount of challenge that you want today. And then as that leg comes back up, let's let the other leg lower down. So kind of like a scissor kick. Yeah, the leg slowly lifting up and the other leg slowly lowering down. So slower is actually going to be more challenging. And if we feel tempted to speed it up, but we want more challenge, we might actually start to slow it down a little bit. Using your breath, inhale into your side ribs. Exhale through pursed lips. See if we could try for 4 more sets. So each set we want to, do one leg lift on each side. So if we're counting down, here's number 3. And here's number 2. And here's our last one. Excellent. And when you finish, it's going to feel so nice to hug your knees in, and you can slide that blanket out from under your lower back. We're going to do one more twist here to, again, shake out anything that got a little sticky in the low back and hips. So you could go ahead, stretch your arms back out to the sides or behind you on the floor, and we'll just go ahead and let our legs drop down to one side to come into the twist. And maybe the head turns to look opposite the knees here, so the twist comes all the way up into the neck. We'll relax and breathe. And then let's find our way over into the twist on the other side for a couple of breaths. And then we're going to roll all the way over onto the front of the body on the mat. And we're going to let our hands come down by the hips, so the palms are on the floor just outside the hips. And we can let the forehead come to the mat. We can let the tops of the feet come to the mat. And we're going to tuck the low belly in and up again. So maybe you feel that pelvic floor tuck. And keeping the palms and feet rooted, let's inhale and float the chest up. Maybe roll the shoulders up towards the sky a bit more. Just like in our bridge pose, as we exhale, we're going to come down slow and steady. And we're going to keep that going. So it's kind of like a reverse curl. Lifting up on the inhale, lowering down on the exhale. And you might play around here with seeing if you can keep your low belly tucked the whole way through the movement. Let's try for 3 more. And then we're going to do a bonus round, but this time we're going to lift the arms and legs too. So nice deep inhale, we'll lift arms, legs, chest. We're going to hold here and breathe, and just staying for as long as this feels like a healthy challenge for your body. If you're enjoying the stretch of it, you could imagine trying to reach back to touch your heels with your fingertips so that maybe you get just a little bit more openness across the chest, a little bit more lift in the upper spine. I like to tuck my chin in this pose so that I'm not pinching the back of my neck. If you're still in the pose, maybe 3 more breaths. when you're ready to release, we're going to push back to a wide knee child's pose. So we can set the knees out as wide as is comfortable. Bring the big toes together. Shift the hips back toward the heels. Let the forehead or the forearms come down to the mat. Enjoy a couple of generous breaths. One more deep breath here. Good. We're just going to do one more strengthening practice. We're going to do a boat pose and seated position. So we'll come up to sitting on the floor with our feet shoulder width apart. And we can kind of roll the palms up just outside of our knees and think about elongating the spine. So the more gentle option here would be to tuck that low belly in and up and then just start to lean back to intensify. If you want a little more challenge, you could bring your feet up. We're going to hold for about 3 breaths. And then you're going to use your hands to clasp your shins and kind of pull against the shins to draw your chest forward and up. So you feel really broad across the chest. Maybe it feels good to lift the chin a little bit here. We're just releasing tension from the back. And then we're going to do 2 more boat poses. So we can roll the palms up, lean back. You could lift your feet if you're wanting a little extra challenge today. We'll hold for 3 breaths. Good, and then you can clasp your shins, draw the chest forward and up, maybe look up, just lengthening up through the whole spine. And we're going to do 1 more boat pose. So roll the palms up, lean back and or bring the feet up. 3 breaths. Good, when you're ready to let it go, you can just lower all the way down onto your back on the mat. And we'll hug the knees right back in towards the chest. And we're gonna rock a little side to side. And just massage your back on the ground. We're going to take the knees in circles again, but this time we'll take each knee in its own separate circle. So we get a little more range of motion. And then you can do a brain teaser and go around the other way. All right, so we're going to do just 2-minute Shavasana to help to integrate the practice, and we can stretch the legs out. Maybe tuck the shoulders under a little bit and allow the whole body to let go of any sense of effort or tension. We can relax the jaw, soften the eyes, loosen the scalp. Let the collarbones soften and widen. Let the hips soften and widen. Let the whole belly get relaxed and loose and the chest muscles soft. Feeling the breath also coming into a more relaxed, easeful pace. And let's take 3 slow, deep breaths. We'll do in through the nose, out through the mouth, but this time exhaling through the mouth like you're fogging your sunglasses.